You can't even see me. I'm not even hungry. Don't look at me. I'll exist in the shadow world. Or the light world, I should say. Let's see if I can like angle it a little better. I don't know. Anyway, titled titled uh, the live this morning after this book I'm reading. Michael Moorcock, really interesting guy. Um, I've been in a routine. I don't even know how long the routine's been going, but I've been in a routine for about maybe a couple weeks now. Ever since I changed rooms or moved rooms, I'm actually gonna move down. I like sitting on the ground sometimes. Excuse me. Everything. Um, there we go. A little better, but been reading that book. I've been in a new routine, and today I woke up with like a. I woke up with a weird dream. Um, cool little like adventure dream with a bunch of different people from my life or in around my life. But what's really been on my mind, the title of this book really caught my eye for sure. Go lay down. You're all right. I'm in the middle of an idea. Go lay down. You're all right. He got his food and he usually comes and visits me. My cat, after he gets his food, he just chills in here for a good while. And I don't love. We have a lot of cats. I have roommates, um, and I don't love having all the cats in here. I know. And I don't love all. I love it. I don't love having all the cats in here because we have so many. But I'll let in a few at a time, and we'll just chill. It's very quiet and peaceful. Um, I never try to go away from that when I'm working because I find myself uh, working on a lot of projects in here. But I want to get better at speaking. I want to get better with my words. This book, The Sailor on the Seas of Fate, um, it's caught my eye in a cool way. It's talking about a few different things that I like. Um, that consists of like electronic machines that are like ever changing and moving and flowing. If you've ever played like Minecraft, I know this is a weird comparison. Go lay down. You're just chill, please. Just trying to fight me. Um, this is a weird comparison, but it's the first one that went to my mind since it's what I'm. It's just where I've gone. Which is Minecraft because there's like there's certain like things you can build within the redstone mechanism, um, and like pistons that create like self-moving objects. Um, which I think is really cool. But as we go into this little thought that I'm working on, I realize not everyone, not all people view life in a symbolic uh, way. I'm not saying in a metaphor, like not in a metaphorical way, but in a very like they can translate the symbolism of a story or from a story to um, their own lives, which I think is very important for understanding certain stories. Go lay down. You're not going to sit on my shoulder. Go lay down. You're all right. I know. I know. He's my he's my comrade. He's my partner in crime for a lot of my stupidity or madness. But back to the symbolism. There's a lot of good symbolism in this story. I mean, basically, the first image is really fucking sick. Um, they're on a boat. He has cool gear. He has a sword, like a black sword. He has comrades behind him, companions, warriors, whatever. That's the only picture. Or there might be one more picture in the book. But symbolism, I think, speaks to us in a very different way than direct language does. Language can lead to symbolizing something, but um, when you see a symbol that represents something in your life, has some sort of symbolism and translation from the the thing to your life, to your mind. Um, Not necessarily relating, but translating. Um, I, f- for me, when I really like when I really enjoy a story, or when I really get into a character, this the symbolization of the relationships and what they're doing, um, can really reflect on my own mental psyche. And what I'm realizing now is, sure, this is just a book, right? But books were the first sort of forms of. Oh my God, hold on. I'm sorry. Books were the first form of like downloading language into a more whole context. And before books, you're gonna find a lot of I'm talking about ancient times, like text and many cultures before us. You're gonna find like scrolls and manuscripts and art on architecture and inside buildings and different creations. More of like a manuscript almost. Um, but with books kind of being the momentum of our previous cultures into now is what I would say is a more electronic image based culture. Hence, I mean, what I'm doing this on, hence um, TikTok and like short form content and movies and TV shows. Um, there's a lot of different symbolization you can get from these things, but with books you have to imagine them. Non-picture books, of course, but books you have to sort of imagine your own symbols and your own meaning. Whereas the movie or the screen or the image provides the symbol, where it does not provide the whole context. No, obviously not. A book doesn't provide the whole context, but it provides context in a more um, direct way of expressing, because its only form of communication is language. Whereas you're dealing with the image as well as some language in the movie, or the TV show. Um, and I like to view myself as a sort of sailor on the seas of fate, navigating all these different forms of media and um, different things that I think can symbolize something in my life, or I can just sort of translate into my life. You have a lot of different accessing points to different mediums now, and I think that's really cool. But I think what I'm getting at with this topic of symbolization, um, and language is we're moving into a much more seeing culture, much more look at this thing rather than read this thing. And where I find myself in the world, and where I think we find all of us, all of ourselves, is a culture that like is shoving language and images in front of our eyes and this downloading these things and thoughts to not necessarily. I mean, the end goal is to capture our minds into a certain way. That's the end goal. But how you get to point A to point B, how you get to that goal, d- it varies due to environments and where people are growing up and how people are growing up. But another huge thing I'm noticing is sound, sound itself becoming a very weaponized thing. We could argue it's noise, but it's sound. It's sound and noise. And it's not that, a sound or noise cannot be good or very individual or symbolize, this great meaning. It's just what happens when you get, five songs happening at once. Does it create one song or does it just create one noise, a hum? And when I think when you go towards these sorts of um, processes where you're identifying your surroundings and what you're truly noticing and surrounded by. To me, I had to exile myself. I had to really like alienate myself from all the sound and the noise and the images. Um, I had to really alienate myself from a lot of it, and it's been that way for a good while. It's not that I don't like communicating with people or interacting with the world. It's just like I was unable to control my own self because there were so many things demanding for my attention. Um, and when you begin to truly realize where your attention stems from and what your attention is and what your attention can build, and I mean truly understand it, truly realize it. There's no final, reasoning or understanding of, your attention or your consciousness or your mind, but there is an ability to be aware of where it's being directed and how it's being used. Personally, my attention was being used in very malicious ways, whether or not that was self inflicted or environmental or completely circumstantial due to being born into, to my family or not, but it's what I came to be aware of. And I realized at some point along my journey that I would have to be alone for a while. And it wasn't like I was damning myself away and shaming myself to exile. It was more or less like if I keep interacting with what I'm interacting with, I'm going to lose myself and I'm not going to like where I find myself. And I'm not necessarily entirely in love or happy with where I am, and I don't think anyone should be content with where they are. And I find that that's sort of the trick of the culture we find ourselves in, the mental matrix that is sort of demanding our attention in so many ways: images, noise, just thoughts, language. It demands us to follow it. It demands us. And people, some people are so unconscious that they just fuel it and feed it. And, all you can't really yell at them or anything like that. You just kind of embrace it. You're just like, oh, okay. And, there's some people might be a little more worthy to explain your position on, but that's the thing is like you can never force your your opinion onto someone in hopes that they are is somehow enlightened in the end state. I, but after once you truly, I think, become aware of the demand for your attention, attention itself becomes potent. When you're sitting and there's nothing to grab at you, this sort of moment I'm talking about, uh, it's not easy to achieve. I live in the city. It's definitely not easy to achieve. Um, Living in the country, well, before I moved to the city, it was much easier to achieve like a almost a pseudo sort of contentment. But I think it was really easy just to have these thoughts and then just to escape into my own hole and to never express myself. And I think the city has really opened that door of expression, that door of how can we decorate the image? How can we decorate the sound, the noise? How can we decorate our language better? What can we do to capture our attention a little more? Not capture the attention of an individual and use it, but capture the attention of the individual and awaken the individual to their moment, to the moment, whatever you want to say. And the present moment is truly where everything begins. It's where everything stems from. It's this it's this very potent thing. And the present moment is where the foregrounds, or the foregrounds, is where the front lines are of any sort of revolution or any sort of war or any sort of creative act or whatever. It's the front lines of it. It's the beginning. It's your decision to be aware of something. It's your decision to act or not act. Um, and where I think the present moment really gets its uh, where I think the present moment has lost its value amongst the individuals is where the culture has this agenda to sort of propose multiple ideas at once and to keep you fixated on them, to give you multiple different things worded differently that are presented in a different like language package, if that makes sense. Presented in a different sort of language, um, but they end up inevitably being the same thing. I found a lot of that. I found so much of that. People like swearing that this thing or this belief is different, but The truth is, for me, and what I think to be true for my existence is that so many things can fall under the spell of appearing differently, but presents itself in the same way every time. And when you have individuals amongst a culture who can't distinguish the difference between that, what I just explained, that the difference between um, something being true in itself rather than just appearing as an attention sort of buzzword to keep you fixated. And there's a lot of that going on. But you'll notice how interchangeable these sorts of words are when it comes to the electronic world. I'm gonna leave it there. I think I think that's good.